Hey guys, Coach Edwards here with lacrossegoalietips.com and lacrossegoalieuniversity.com. Head on over to athletespecific.com/ANT-download to get an athlete's guide to mastering automatic negative thoughts. They plague us all, right? But I want to give you some tips on how to fix them. All right, so this week, Alex, one of our dads who wrote me 3 questions, we're covering this is the third of his 3, but he wanted to know, what do I think about crease dives? And this year, crease dives are a thing, and I don't think anybody was really sure how they were going to go. There are people all over the map, obviously, but I was optimistic. But what do I think about crease dives and how to defend a crease dive? There's a couple things here. Do I like crease dives? No, because goalies are, you don't allow guys to dive into face-off men. Why are we allowing guys to dive in front of a goalie and risk hitting them? We don't allow contact on the face-off, but now we're basically inviting contact for the goalie. Goalies are inherently unprotected for this type of move. And one of the things that I think is important here is to go like, okay, if a goalie is going, if we're going to allow crease dives, we need to allow the goalie to defend it to the best of their ability. And what I would do, like in a perfect world, I'd be dressing up my goalie in like football pad just to defend this one play. All right, and I'm not talking about the rest of the game, but I'm saying for this one play, how would I best defend this one play? Well, I would pad up my goalie, and the second he saw a guy coming in the crease, like going to dive, I would have him just lunge at the offensive player, right? Why? Well, 1, to stop the ball, but 2, to send a message to that guy, don't do that again, right? So, lacrosse goalies, I don't want to generalize, but there's a lot of goalies who are skinnier in nature, right? Or maybe not as athletic as a midi, so it just kind of, there's a lot of athletic goalies, don't get me wrong, and I preach athleticism for goalies. I preach athleticism in any sport with any athlete that I'm working with. But in this case, a lot of goalies, especially in high school, there's a lot of goalies who, they don't like the contact out there, so they're in the crease for a reason. But now that you get that kid to college age, and now you're saying like, okay, well, there's this big, potentially traumatic event that may happen, and good luck. So I don't really like it. In terms of which way the calls go, I don't know if the refs really know how to call it either, to be honest. But the big thing that needs to happen for goalies to defend the crease dive is the move needs to be lateral across the cage instead of out at the shooter. All right, because it's just simple geometry, right? So if I still have my crease up from last week's video. If you are a right-handed goalie, and you're on the right pipe, right? Where's your stick? It's on the right pipe. And sometimes for some goalies, stupidly, it's outside the right pipe. All right, so if you're a right-hand goalie and the crease dive is coming from your right across the crease to your left, well, now you've got to take your stick and decide either you're going across the top, like the top hand over the bottom hand, or you're going to go top hand under the bottom hand. I have talked to, so for years, I have talked about goalies switching hands. And no one's ever taken me up on it because of peer pressure. Plain and simple. People just think it's weird. But really, if you think about it, it makes total sense. If a righty goalie is standing on the right pipe, they have to modify their position in order not to waste that equipment outside the post, right? So again, you look at any other sport and you never see a goalie dangling a piece of equipment outside the pipe, right? Hockey goalies in the 90s, when the butterfly style really started to come in play, they would drop to their knees and they would basically drop their glove hand and basically from their knees go real tall to cover the net. They didn't hang their glove outside the post anymore, all right? The only time you see it happen somewhat was when the hockey goalie was on their stick side. and you might see them wrap their elbow around the post, but just temporarily. Now goalies mostly drop to their knee and get in a butterfly, and basically all their equipment is inside the goal mouth to protect. So in this case, I think if we're allowing crease dives, this really starts the argument, and I encourage all my goalies to start messing around with switching hands, because I don't want to be in a decision where I'm going to all of a sudden come across with my, maybe if this shooter is diving across your face with a stick in their right hand, and you come with your top hand under your bottom hand, right? Like you're cover the lower part of the goal, but now that player, even in midair, has the ability to go from low to high. Well, you can't recover. You don't have the time to basically bring your stick back and bring the top hand over the bottom hand and make the save. The ball's going in the net. But if you have your stick in your left hand, you are just basically taking a step across the front of the goal mouth, right? To cover that. And all you got to remember, all you have to do if you take a string or a dotted line or whatever is like wherever that player releases that ball, you're just getting to that point right down here. You don't have to get out. If you go out here at the shooter, you risk being shot around. But if the stick's in your left hand, you have more of a chance to now commit to your left. Your left hand may be low to start, but if you see that attackman bring his stick up to shoot it above you, you still can get your left hand up in front of that ball, right? Otherwise, if you're in your right hand, it's almost like it's almost like an easy goal. And so a statistic, if someone's got the time to do that, be interesting to see how many goals were scored by righty shooters diving from right to left in front of a righty goalie versus lefty shooters diving from left to right in front of right-handed goalies, and vice versa with a lefty goalie, right? So because I hands down, I pretty much guarantee you're going to see more goals being scored on a shooter where they're going from right to left in front of a righty goalie and left to right in front of a lefty goalie. Okay? Makes sense? Right? Just because the goalie can't come across. I encourage my goalies to mess around in practice switching hands, right? Because you can do it in warm-up drills. You can do it in shots. You have fun with your coach. Do it. You can have shot if you're getting shot on by your team from shots outside. Just mess around switching hands, because the lacrosse goalie of the future will be more protected, and they're going to switch hands. They're going to play more ambidextrous. Guarantee it. All right, I've been preaching it for years, and I tell all my goalies to do it. And what's really funny to me is that there's goalies that mess around with it and they have success, but then when they get to recruiting level, they're worried about how they're going to look to a college coach, and that drives me crazy, right? It drives me crazy because it just tells me how backwards, or I wouldn't say backwards, but how not progressive most coaches think. And I've been preaching this for years. Okay. The lacrosse goalie of the future will put them in position to make more saves. They're going to increase their base save percentage by being in better position. And if that means switching hands, nothing different between your right hand and your left hand. We're not quarterbacks in football here, guys, right? We're not quarterbacks in football. We're not pitchers in baseball, right? Okay. We're ambidextrous. We're more like soccer players. We got 2 feet. We can use all sides of both feet. Let's use our hands the same way, all right? Okay, same thing goes for our lacrosse goalies. So that's it for crease dives. Am I a fan? Not really, because I think we're just asking goalies, like we're not really paying attention to the demands of a goalie, the needs that a goalie has. I think we're risking safety. I think there's a little bit of contradiction between what we're allowing people to do with face-off middies versus goalies, right? And so we're not letting guys jump in the pile with face-off middies. Why are we letting them jump across a goalie, all right, and potentially risking them? So because, again, most goalies are not, they're like I don't mean to offend any goalies right there, but you know what? Sometimes we're kind of like field goal kickers. Nobody understands us. Some guys aren't really that athletic, but they're really got really good technique and they can fire the ball, right? I saw a play last year. Actually, it was in the World Championships with Galloway getting run over by a Canadian guy. And so if I'm an offensive coach, I'm running the goalie on the first play, right? and this, I hate to say this, but I'm saying this really to warn our coaches and parents and goalies that this could happen, right? I had a hockey coach, junior high school. I know I'm getting a little long on this video, but I had a hockey coach in high school, Coach McEachern. He passed away a long time ago. Rest in peace, buddy. He was awesome. But he always said the first shot on the goalie should be at his head. No matter where you take it from, the first shot at the goalie should be at his head. And we're like, why? It's because now he's going to flinch. And you know what? If we're going to allow crease dives and you got a kid like Tanaka, or pardon me, but Tanaka from Albany, how heavy is that guy, right? You just say, okay, listen, the first play, you're going to chance you get a crease dive, you're going to go right in their goalie. Probably blow out a knee, right? I think we're going to see that, unfortunately. So if you're the goalie, though, you got to be prepared for that. But now that puts you on your heels a little bit to actually do the right thing to make the save. All right, so maybe another reason why goalies should pad up and coaches should encourage goalies to pad up is so that they can be aggressive on that play and send the attackman to the trainer and not the other way around. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been a great season so far. A lot of great questions, a lot of great activity in our private Facebook group, Creating the Lacrosse Goalie of the Future. I know we're going to get some good vibes on this topic. But do me a favor, send me a note, Coach Edwards at lacrossegoalietips.com. If I've given you a tip and you have used it, do me a favor, tell me how you have used it and how it has helped you. That really is the juice that keeps us all going. All right, so thanks so much, and I will see you next week. Cheers. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube or on our website, do me a favor and like the video, share it, subscribe it if you would. And also, if you're on iTunes, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I put original content on iTunes. I do extra podcasts and things like that that you won't just see on the YouTube channel or on the blog. So be sure you subscribe over there. And listen, every week I put out new content as well as in our private Facebook group at Creating the Lacrosse Goalie of the Future. All the links to all the resources I talked about today will be in the show notes below. So if you're on your phone on iTunes, you'll be able to link to them there, as well as if you're on the blog or on YouTube, you'll see them there as well. If you got a question for me, feel free to email me, Coach Edwards at lacrossegoalietips.com, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.